Pollyanna Woodward and welcome to our Flower Power Winter Wonderland special. For all of you brides planning a winter wedding and looking for pure inspiration, you're in exactly the right place. Coming up on today's show. I'm joined here now by Ian Drummond from Indoor Garden Design. Hello Ian.
Hi there.
Can you tell me about what you specialise in?
We're a landscaping company that specialises in event work using horticulture as the main principle behind it, as an alternative to cut flowers. So from anything from any type of events to premieres, parties, visual merchandising, store windows, that type of thing, just using living plants as an alternative to cut flowers.
And what kind of plants do you use?
Generally we try to keep with the seasons, so really work around the seasons. I mean, with this bottle here we've used lots of heathers, hundreds of heathers, so something very wintry. But so just really try to keep those seasons going. In the summer, obviously, you're a sport for choice, lots of flowering things as stunning roses and that type of thing. And also using almost things like herbs and things like that as well, are great for creating sculptures. Yeah.
Can you, as soon as you did mention it, can you tell me about the bottle?
Okay, well, a bottle can be used for so many events. It's generally used in most celebrations in one way or another. This was first created for Elton John's White Tie Tower Ball in the summer.
Really?
And the theme this year was contemporary art. So we created a number of pieces throughout the grounds, inspired by different artists. And the framework of this bottle was used as a Jeff Koons inspired piece. The event was sponsored by Grey Goose, so we created a Grey Goose bottle, which was filled with hundreds of lavenders and rosemary plants.
Yeah, that smelt absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
And what other events have you done?
We work with lots of the film industry quite a lot, so we do lots of premieres. We've got Where the Wild Things Are premiere is coming up in early December, so that's going to be the next big thing in Leicester Square. We've got a party coming up next week which is inspired by The Wizard of Oz, so that's going to be quite a joy.
Wow, have you got any ideas of what you're going to do for that one?
Well, there's a few secrets with it, but the principle is the Emerald Ball, so it's very much themed behind.
That'd be amazing. If someone was to have one of these for their wedding, what kind of sculpture would you say would look good at a wedding, and what kind of plants would they use? What kind of colours should they go for?
Right, again, really depending on the time of the year. I always think you can't go too wrong with white, especially in sculptures. I think it just is a really crisp colour to work with. So it could be something as simple as a bottle that could be filled with, this time of the year you could fill it with miniature cyclamens and winter jasmine, that type of thing. So you get that beautiful scent, so it's a really, really pretty white. In the summer you could fill it with miniature roses. And the shape could really vary. I mean, it could be something, if it's in somebody's grounds, you could create, it could be simple as sort of a heart, it could be adjoining rings. Anything is possible.
That'd be a lovely idea, wouldn't it? Adjoining rings. And what kind of sizes can you do these? Obviously, this is quite a grand design.
Yeah.
What's the smallest design that you could do?
It can be as small as a table arrangement. Instead of having flowers on a table, you could create a small miniature kind of structure, sculpture.
And how long do the structures take to create, obviously from the smallest to the largest? What's roughly the time?
They really vary. I mean, this one here was taken sort of a day and a half to create. In the summer, the white tie, using the same frame but different planting, it actually took a week to create. So it really does depend on the size and the plants that you're using, but generally would allow a day onwards.
Okay, and with the plants themselves, is there any plants that are more durable that you would recommend people steer towards for a display like this?
Most things are actually fairly tough because they've still got their roots with them, they're still living. So it's not like with floristry, it's a cut flower, they're living, so anything can be basically used.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Ian.
It's a pleasure.
I'm joined here by Michael Pooley from Michael Pooley Flowers. Hello to you.
Hi, hi.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Now, your style is a little bit different to what we have seen before. Can you tell me about your style?
Well, I'm just a little bit more organic. I like using natural product naturally, wiring it in, like these sort of pepper berries, eucalyptus pods, and not so all about the accessory. So actually using a bit more technique with the flower and creating sort of an individual shape or look for the bride for Christmas.
You've got some very unusual looks right here. Can you talk me through some of these pieces, some of the foliage?
Yeah, this is pepperberry, which has just been sprayed silver. This is eucalyptus pod, which is a seed pod from the eucalyptus tree. And then if you pick these off, you can take the caps off and there's like a sort of pinky or a yellow colour inside. This is Spanish moss, and it has this lovely silver tone. It looks good and it fills up space on the table. Instead of using lots of silver accessories like the candelabras and all that, they can be quite expensive, whereas sort of bunches of this are far more economical and you can be far more creative.
How would you work with these together? I mean, would you put these together or would you use certain pieces with certain flowers?
We'd normally, but obviously there'd be white roses, but I'm on the foliage stand here because there's some great sort of accessories that you can use which are natural. But we'd really create sort of more structures and create like say you had a round table centre, we'd create a flow with that going round and then blend bits in. It's quite European in style. It's not as like the London look is very is beautiful. It's very silver and just white blocked roses. This is a bit more like, let's be a bit more creative. Use, yeah, a bit rougher. Yeah.
And the actual designs themselves, would you say foliage is just as important as flowers, especially for a winter wedding? Or
I would personally go down that route. I wouldn't do sort of holly and red berry and sort of the classic. Magnolia is another great classic. It lasts for 4 weeks, so you can sort of make your arrangements at the beginning of the week, and it looks great even after the wedding with a lovely brown tint on the back of the leaf.
And are these very durable, the actual foliage you're using? So obviously for a wedding, it will last all day and still look fabulous.
Yeah, you're fine. It's sort of just to keep the naked flames away from it a little bit. So definitely put your candles in like little glass holders.
And have you got any clients that use this look?
Well, it's sort of like, the clients that I do are more sort of like in fashion and design. So they don't tend to have this. Well, they have an installation maybe for Christmas that will last, and we do follow what we do for our corporate clients along into our brides.
And have you got any corporate clients you can tell?
Well, not really. No, I'll keep them to myself.
What kind of designs do they go for, though, if they were going to have something particular?
To be honest, they're actually quite simple because they're designers themselves. They like simplicity. So you'll use like either a mass of the eucalyptus pod, and then it's more structural. You'll tear block it, which means, if for people who don't know, you'll use things at different levels like this. They're far more graphic, whereas the bride tends to be a little softer and a bit more, just a little bit more feminine. This is quite a hard look.
And is there any hot trends for the winter bride?
Well, there's always this sort of like the silver, white, sort of like Narnia look. Your Christmas party, i.e. Sort of like bling sensation look. So there's always going to be that type of look. White's always a key flower. Red is for the more traditional florist, but it all depends on your venue as well. If you've got a venue at Christmas, they're going to have the Christmas decorations up or the Christmas tree. Just go with the flow with what they've got and blend in with that, rather than having your own theme. So speak to your venue and see what they're going to say about what decorations they're having installed that season.
Exactly. And is there any colours that are the hot colours for winter?
There's a definite peacock electric blue sort of coming out everywhere. This sort of like, it's not peacock feather, it's a bit more like sort of more magical, like a lot of the films are around at Christmas.
Oh, well, that's wonderful, Michael.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm joined here now by Petra from Zeta Els. Hello, Petra.
Hi.
What a beautiful display, first and foremost, and wonderful colours. Can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind this whole design?
Well, the inspiration always comes out of this world, kind of thing. We start with the theme mainly, say if it's winter or Christmas or particular design for a wedding that a bride would like to have. And then maybe we go to the flowers, and then it starts coming from there. Yeah, you choose your colors or you choose particular props, and then it all happens from there.
And tell me a little bit about these flowers, because you've got so many beautiful colours on here and a few different ones. Tell me about the inspiration behind these colours and why put these colours together?
Well, particularly this one is to go with the whole thing. Say you start off with one thing, maybe a display or table decoration, and then everything else picks from there. So if you have certain colors in one arrangement, then you want to carry on with that theme all the way through the design. So as you can see, we have the reds here and more pinks there. But if you look at it all as a one thing, it's all interlinked.
It all works, it all blends.
Yeah, so that's how we choose the colors, really.
And how do you come about using fruit in the design? It's something completely different, isn't it, to actually see that? You don't see that often. Is it more popular during kind of Christmas and winter?
What we do at Zeta, what Zeta is very good at and interested in, we use a lot of things, not just fruit, but if you look closely, it's berries, it's all kinds of things from the trees, eucalyptus, you know, if you look at, acorns, anywhere you look, there are all kinds of things. But what we do use is only natural materials. You know, we might, sometimes the silver reef over there, we spray some of the things, but mostly we use only natural materials, dried or fresh. So it's all textures, colors, richness, all this kind of thing. That's why we use everything. Because if you just use flowers, I don't want to sound too boring, but everybody's doing that. So we go beyond.
And if you use, obviously, the rich colours like you mentioned, what are the best flowers to go for that really give you the depth and the warmth? And
well, roses are always popular. You know, you have black baccarat rose or beautiful ecstasy, which is so scented, lovely. So the roses are always classic and popular, and you can get the richness and deep colours in these flowers. And otherwise, you can go for anything. You really feel like look around in this market, whatever catches your eye, you just pick. And
is there any flowers that are more durable in the colder weather?
well, generally, most of the flowers prefer cool temperatures anyway. When you have cut flowers, they prefer to stay in cools. Like, for example, we keep them in the fridge over the night in summer, because if you just hot day, after hot day, it's just too hot for them. So generally flowers like 8 to 9 degrees temperature.
And would you say, looking at this display, it's beautiful, and there are more to this display than just the flowers and the berries. Can you talk me through, say, the glassware? Is it important to think about the accessories that go with the displays?
Very much, very much. The glassware, the candles, all kinds of little containers. That gives you festive or celebration feel to your display.
And is there anything that really works for the winter? Because I see that you've got pots there that are actually dark grey like slate, and then obviously the glassware. Are these materials that work a little bit better for winter weddings?
I mean, if you choose glass or crystal, that gives you that cool winter feel. And if you choose more kind of natural containers, say something in terracotta or the clay, that gives you the warmth, you know, coming up to Christmas, you want to snuggle up, that kind of thing. So you can choose either way. You can choose the cool colours or the warm ones.
And you mentioned, obviously, these are really rich. There's lots of reds, there's pinks, there's purples. If somebody was getting married and they were going to have white and cream flowers, they wanted to experiment with colour but had no idea where to start, how would you recommend to introduce them to colour?
Well, first of all, they come to us. They speak to Zeta, and then she does special design for them. If they are really, really set on white, and she goes to see the venue, she sees the bride, they discuss it together, she decides white is the color, then we can go all with white. However, if she sees the venue and thinks purely white would not work, then she suggests. And normally brides trust her, and the design is always right.
And is it the venue that sets the standard for what design and what colours you have, or do you just start with the flowers?
We start with the bride. If she has anything in mind, what kind of dream she's got inside her, and Zeta tried to make that dream happen, basically.
That's wonderful, Petra. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right, welcome.
I'm joined here by Mary Jane Vaughan. Hello to you, Mary Jane.
Hi, Pollyanna, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Now, your display I've fallen in love with because it is so beautiful. Can you tell me the inspiration behind this whole display?
Well, we thought Christmas and weddings clean and crisp and pure. So we chose a very simple vase and just simply had white orchids. I can think of nothing more luxurious and romantic.
It's lovely, isn't it? The actual drop that you get from the orchids compared to other flowers.
Exactly. Orchids, when I think of orchids, I think we have to let them speak for themselves because there's nothing we need to do to them. Simply let them go. So we just choose the stems as we take them out of the box. We say, oh, this is a nice shape, this is a nice shape. So we're not doing anything to them, we're just simply putting them in oases, and that's all there is to it. So it's really, there's no secret to this arrangement. It's simply letting the orchids speak for themselves.
They look beautiful, however, and I think that helps with the actual vase that it's in. How do you choose what the flowers go in to really emphasize the look?
Well, in this case, we were choosing a slim, graceful vase that would go with the orchids and would let them flow down. And sometimes if it's a very clean, contemporary look, quite harsh, say for an all-male event, we choose a square mirrored vase, something a bit harsher and bolder. But in this case, we want it soft and we want it graceful, and I think curved and tall and slim is good for that.
And obviously you said you created this for the winter wedding. Is that because white's the classic, or do you think that's the must-have colour for the winter wedding?
I always think white is a lovely colour for weddings anyway. And whenever I do a wedding in fabulous colours, I think, oh, that's lovely. And then we go back to white and think, oh, white is always better. So I love white. And I love the classic elegance of white. So yes, I suppose it's a combination of Christmas and a combination of classical and I think romantic in a way.
It is. Now, not only the flowers are amazing, but the actual display you have on the table. Can you talk me through some of the accessories that you've used to really accentuate the look?
Well, what we do is, I think that 3/4 of floristry is having good vases and good accessories to go with it. When we go to a wedding, everything is beautiful tablecloths, beautiful crystal, and so we feel it's important to have good accessories. I always say, if you have the good accessories, you get the jobs, because you get the smart jobs. And so we use a lot of silver. I love silver. I love silver when it's very simple. So these candlesticks we use, because I think they're heavy and chunky and look quality. And we work with different designers with accessories. In this case, we use a company called Create, who are fabulous, very modern and contemporary caterers, and they provided us with the linen and all those bits and pieces. And these little dewdrops are just a little bit of fun on the table. I don't know if you can see it on the camera.
And it adds a lot of light to the table as well.
What happens with these is these are just very cheap. You get them anywhere. But they call them dewdrops. Awful name, but there you are. And I think they give a sparkle to the table, and I think they give a little bit of humor.
They do, don't
because
they? Something fun.
Yes, something, you say, oh wow, that's cool. You know, like the little light at the bottom of the gel. We put the light there because suddenly you're having dinner and you think, oh, that's cool. And so it's nice to be discovering things as you go along. You know, through the meal, you say, oh, I hadn't noticed that. Look at that. I wonder how they did that. You know, and that's a little element of humor, which I think is nice in a display. It makes people smile.
And when you decided to put the light in the bottom of the vase, were you thinking, because it's a winter wedding, obviously the nights are a little bit darker, a lot earlier, so obviously it really creates the ambience. Was that the thinking behind it?
And we were thinking, obviously in a wedding, all the candles will be lit. These little night lights, I don't know if the camera can see them, give a very mottled look. So it kind of flickers even more so than a normal candle. So all those little details, and then hopefully that would be pin-spotted with lights dimmed in the room. Gorgeous.
Well,
all we need is a fabulous meal now, and then we're done.
Exactly. And if someone were to come to you for their wedding flowers, can you actually arrange for all of this to be available to them, and you can design all of this?
We have all the props, except the tables and chairs and things which their caterer would provide. Or we work very closely with many caterers and we could suggest it, but we do everything except the actual table and linen. we do everything else.
So you can create the whole perfect look that they want for their special day.
Hopefully.
Oh, well, that's absolutely wonderful. And one more thing I noticed, I absolutely love the name place cards.
Aren't they cool? We found those in a very funny little place in Holland, and we just love them. They're so sweet.
I was about to say, are they a new fashion, a new kind of trend to be using things like this as name card holders?
I think name card holders are, I don't really know if they're the new trend, but I think they're very sweet. And people usually end up taking them home with them after the wedding.
They are lovely. And when you do use the whites, obviously with the candles and the flowers, is silver the best colour to complement the whole of that, the look?
I think silver, many people worry about my colour is gold or my colour, I can't use silver, but silver, so much on the table is silver, the cutlery is silver, usually the pepper and salt things are silver, all those little things. So silver is a very good accessory to use as a basis for your flowers. And if any other colors, if there's another color to your wedding or gold, can be added on in ribbons, in accessories. But silver will always go with the table setting. So it's quite an understated, smart way of enhancing a table.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Mary Jane, thank you so much for your time.
It's lovely to speak to you. Thank you very much for that.
I'm joined here by Jens Jakobsen. How are you, Jens?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Fabulous. Now, you have your own studio in London, don't you?
Yes, I have, in southwest London, yeah.
Fabulous. Now, I must admit, every single piece of artwork, because they are, that you have designed here, has caught my eye. So let's start with this one right here. The look is amazing. What was the inspiration behind this? What were you thinking?
So the inspiration is this waterfall effect I want to have with the silver. It has to be the water and the ice, you know, and this is the wave from the waterfall, and then I want to give it this elegance with the orchids, and so we can use it as a wedding display. So it would actually be on a table, it will just be floating over the table, and there will be a lot of small candles all around, so it's just going to be crispy and really joyful.
Now, the attention to detail is magnificent, because I noticed you actually have on the leaves here, the grass, beautiful mirrors. How long did that take you to do?
Unfortunately, I'm so lucky that I have beautiful staff members and really good and clever, but this here took 3 hours to do. But again, even though it dries out, it will be curly and beautiful, so you can keep it at home. And if, for example, you are married in the beginning of November or December, you will have it for Christmas time. And use it, you can just change the flowers, and that's it.
That's wonderful. And of course, does that go with the waterfall theme? Is that what you were trying to create with
Yes, it was. As I hear, the grasses, they are so much alive, so much is happening, and that's what I'm after.
And I guess the light bounces off the mirrors as well and creates a bit more movement.
Yeah, and you can actually, on the table, have small mirrors as well, and crystals, which will really be crispy and, you know, sparkling and give this ice effect.
And I guess that's something you could even, if some brides that are on a budget were trying to create a look like this, it's something they could do themselves as well, I guess,
Exactly, exactly. I say if they have patience, it's just to take a piece of paper and make the wave out and start to glue on it. It is fun, it's good.
And the reason why you chose the orchids, was that because it is a great winter flower, or is it just the colour?
It's not so much a winter flower, but Phalaenopsis is elegant, as you don't find, it's so exotic, and it is actually a wedding, a festive for every event, and it brings up the display, so that's why.
Oh, it's wonderful. And of course, they're very durable flowers, aren't they? Now, I can't just leave it at that one. Look at what we have right here. This is amazing. Whereabouts in a wedding would you imagine putting something like this?
This here could be in the church. You could have 2 on a pedestal. It can be on a buffet. It can be in the entrance door. It's just, hi, I'm here. Welcome to my home. And it's just, you can have, with this, you can, for example, have bird songs behind it to bring up the whole atmosphere and spirit. I've used these grasses, a lot of grasses, and then in oasis, and then these other grasses where there's these petals on, stick them in and just give it a little bit more sparkling look and make it a little bit taller, because often when we work, air is actually quite important. So this piece here is what we call air. So it brings up and make a double volume.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning, isn't it? And what was the inspiration behind that? Was that to tie in with maybe a design such as this one here?
Yes, and it's actually also from Denmark, and on the beaches. We have a lot of grass, you know, and it's just, I love it. And also when you hear the wind going into it, and that's what I want to create something different and really contemporary and not so expensive, because it doesn't have to be a lot of flowers every single time. It can be just one. If you go for one kind of foliage or one kind of flowers, and then you have a lovely container, then that's it.
And I guess you could make this on a smaller scale, couldn't you, really, to make it as a table centre for a wedding?
Again, you could cut it down so it would not be taller than this, and then let it go out and have a long row of them. That would be beautiful as well, yeah.
And as you say, it's quite cost effective as well.
Definitely, it is.
Wonderful. Now I have to, my eye has just been drawn to this right here. Let's take a look.
This again, it has to be a little bit more feminine, candy. I'm the queen, you know, the bride is the queen and the groom. So it has to be really wow. And what I was thinking on there was when I saw this lovely, as we call angel hair, I was thinking, wow. So I have to use it together with the antique roses, make an ice tap. We are still in the winter wonderland. And but the queen needs her pearls and her jewels for the day, but she dropped them on the roses, unfortunately. So that's ended up in a display.
It's absolutely stunning, and it reminds me of Narnia. It's quite magical and mystical. So what were you thinking of when you actually created this? Did you want to create that magical look?
No, actually, no. At first, I want to have this just winter, really cold, the Ice Queen's design, you know. But then I saw this and I thought, no, she's going to get married. There have to be some softness and, you know, romantic. And that's what it is. But still, it has to be this wow factor, because this is the big day. Something incredible is going to happen. I'm going to say yes to the prince. So I covered her in all this glamour, and that's it.
That's wonderful. And you say that you use the roses. So obviously you could use different colour roses, but is there any other flowers you could use underneath the angel hair and the lovely
Yes,
beads?
again, because this here is, the angel hair is actually camouflage, you can say, and underneath there is the mystique. So what we are going, you can use cones, for example. You can again use only foliage. Grey foliage would have been really stunning. Or as tulips, they are crispy, they are spring. It's the winter wedding is the beginning of a new year. A new day starts, the day starts to be longer, and it's a new start, and it's festive, we celebrate, and that's what it's about.
And is there an option to use different colour angel hair?
Yes, right now you can get them in, I think it's 6 different colors. So depends on what is your favorite color, what is your mood for this event, then you cover it in that color.
It's absolutely stunning. I do love this piece, just very different and very intriguing. However, it doesn't end there, does it, Jens? Look what we've got just here. Talk me through both of these, really, and what you were thinking.
See, this is totally different. It's more dramatic. The bride can be in a black dress or whatever. There's more mystique. And a lot of things is going to happen, and you never know how the evening is going to end. So that's what I was doing there. I found these amazing plastic phalaenopsis orchid, and normally you would say no, artificial, but it's a sculpture, and it gives the totally another effect. I used a new plant, which I call fairy hair as well. It's pot plant. This is actually, it's a more stylish, contemporary, modern design, where you have a clear line in your life. I am prepared for whatever, and then you have these eyes look into it, which is really glamorous.
And I guess you, again, can play with colour here. You don't necessarily have to go for the black or the silver, or again, the poles that you have.
Definitely not. You can have the lime green, which is really in this winter, and the purple and the pink, and that would really be a statement. These could be on pedestals in front of the church or the the venue or on the buffet.
They'd be magnificent, and of course, as you say, this is something for everybody. The black, we do mention on the odd occasion the Gothic bride that likes it, dares to be different, as they say. And this is perfect with that monochrome look, the blacks and the whites almost.
Yes, and again, you can have when you have the candles and some crystals on the table, it would just be magnificent.
Well, Jens, I could be here literally all day. There is so much to look at. It's been wonderful, and every single one of your designs is breathtaking. So thank you so much, Jens.
Thank you too.
I'm joined here by Sarah Cunningham from Dandelion's Florist. Hello to you, Sarah.
Hello.
Now, whereabouts are you based, first of all?
I'm based in Ware in Hertfordshire.
Okay, and what would you say your style is?
We try to do very traditional with a modern twist, bespoke flowers.
And what do you use, I guess, what's most popular for kind of wintertime weddings, and what do you use the most for this time of year?
Roses have always been very, very popular, but because obviously of the recession, we've had to try and make slight adjustments. And in this bouquet, I've used carnations, which a lot of people say, I don't want carnations, but you can actually make them look really super.
In fact, talking about that, let's take a closer look at what you have here. This bouquet is very unusual. Can you tell me what you've used in this?
I've used Prada carnations, which I've put a Hypericum berry into and pinned a little pearl head on top. And then I've added tulips, which are always a lovely winter stroke spring flower. Obviously today it's for a winter theme, so we've gone for the reds and greens. And then I've simply wired some Hypericum berries to finish the design.
And what other colours and, say, flowers could you use with a design like this?
With any designs, you can use whatever colour the bride's theme is. This would look beautiful with white flowers. Roses, as I say, are very popular. Amaryllis are wonderful in the winter. White tulips are stunning. Otherwise, you can go for much warmer, richer colours, oranges, cerise pinks, again, very vibrant colours. So it really depends on what the bride's looking for.
Is there any flowers that would work a little bit better, say more durability than others?
Obviously, because it's the winter, it's quite cold, so they've actually got more advantage in the winter. All flowers are available all time of the year now, so that's not a problem for brides. So no, not really, there is no limit.
And why do you decide to kind of put the berries in there with the flowers? Is that a trend for the winter?
I think it's always nice to add a different dimension. Berries are always popular in the winter. It adds a nice bit of warmth. Makes you think of food for some reason. So I would say that, yes, it's a nice idea, and hopefully it's going to be a good trend, yes.
And how have you finished this off, seeing as it's a hand tie? I noticed you've got a bit of decoration underneath.
Just put some sisal. These comes in various colours. I've actually used black so that it doesn't take away from any of the design. But you could tie it up with the flowers, you could bring red through. It's just, again, another idea that you can use to finish your flowers.
And what would you say are the must-have colours for winter time? Obviously we know white's a classic for weddings, but what colours would you say are up and coming?
Red, again, is, as I say, always very traditional, but very much so now is peach and cerise, and peach and purple. Those two colours together, I think you're going to be seeing quite a lot.
Something a little bit different. Now I notice you haven't just got that with you, you've got something else as well that's quite amazing. I'll take that off you for a second if that's okay. If you can talk me through this, where would this be used?
This is just like a little arrangement that could be popped on a reception table, maybe where they're having pre-dinner drinks. Could be popped even as for more of an extravagant wedding. It could be a place setting for each guest with a name tag attached.
And what have you used here? I've never seen anything quite like this.
It's amazing, isn't it? We've shaped it into a little heart to obviously represent the wedding. It's from the pepper family. I wouldn't recommend you eat them though. So again, it adds a nice texture to your flowers, and because of this beautiful cerise, it gives you a contrast to the
I was going to say that, the pink's amazing. Can you get away? Because I noticed obviously you've used a red rose, and weirdly enough it works, and that's something most people steer clear of, is reds and pinks. Obviously,
red
do
and
they
pink
work?
Is beautiful together. I actually had red and pink for my wedding, and I would thoroughly recommend it.
Fabulous. And what have you done here with the leaf underneath? What leaf is that?
Aspidistra leaf, a variegated aspidistra leaf. We've literally just folded it over the top of the lid and pushed the flowers through. It's so simple, you could even do it yourself.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. And obviously with the roses, is that kind of like the classic look to go for a winter wedding?
I would say so. That's what I would always
Fail
recommend.
safe.
Yeah, can't go wrong with roses.
That's brilliant. Sarah, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm here with Brian White from Wild About Flowers. Hello, Brian, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Fabulous. Now, a wonderful display right here. Something very different. I haven't seen anything like this at all today. Can you just tell me what this is and where you would put this if you were having a winter wedding?
Okay, well, this here, for example, you could have at the entrance to the marquee outside, because obviously it's green moss, goes nice with the grass. We put some of these beaded pearls on to give it a bit of bling, bit of sparkle. And yeah, you can have them in clusters and you light them. They look great.
Would you be limited to what size you have for what venue
Not really,
you have?
no. You can do them in any size, any size. Exactly. Whatever your budget dictates, really.
And it's a great look for minimalists. So I guess is this quite budget conscious?
This isn't, because obviously
you can work to what you
we
need
can work within a budget. Whatever the budget is, we'll work to. But today we've been allowed to go mad because we've been allowed to use everything from Seabest for free. So we've just gone mad.
We've got the lot. Now, obviously, this is the only thing you have. We've got some more wonderful things over here. So if we meander over here, I've never, ever seen anything like this.
Have you not? They're fabulous, aren't they?
Where did these come from? What are they? Where would you have them?
So we've used them in our shops for displays, but we've also used them in events as well, parties and especially winter events, because look, the shapes are fabulous. You can light them. They look amazing when they're lit in a nice cobalt blue, and they just create that lovely wintry scene.
And are they real wood?
They are real wood, and they're flocked with little bits of velvet and cotton.
Oh, and there's a few sparkles on there as well, isn't there? So we're going in for the light.
Exactly.
And I guess this fills quite a lot of space.
It does. Obviously, you need a big space for it, but if you've got that big space and you've got the budget, it creates a real wow factor. So
Can these be done in any other colour, or is it just the white that you see them in?
they really do come in just in the white, but if you're using them in the evening, whatever you colour wash them, that's the colour they're going to become.
I must admit, these would look amazing. You know, if you've got a dining area and just popping them either in the corners just as a feature.
And you know, you don't even need to put anything on them because they're such fabulous shapes anyway.
Exactly, something completely different. Now, I noticed just on the back there, we have the lights and the beads. Would you normally have this as, say, a wedding, or is there any other way that you would use these?
Well, you know, you can actually have these to screen a room. You know, you can have them halfway down a room as a screen, so it's like a natural wall, but you can walk through it.
Oh, so it's like almost like a curtain, so you can kind of have them...
Exactly.
That would be rather beautiful,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? If you want to separate the spaces as well, I guess.
Precisely.
And again, putting the lights, so I guess it adds another dimension to the light.
Yeah, really nice. And of course, there's all the little sequins, so they give that really nice shimmery effect.
Now, looking at the beads here, I just thought, could you have anything else as a curtain, say pearls or any other colours?
This is how they come. But if you wanted to incorporate some pearls or maybe some little crystals, then of course you could.
But the great thing is, when you actually look, you've got quite a few different colours in there as well, so it'll go with a lot of themes.
So it's really nice, yeah.
Absolutely everything. Well, I love that. However, this caught my eye straight away, only because it's just quite elaborate, but because we've got this lovely black backdrop, you just see the twinkle at first until you get close up. So talk me through what you were thinking when you created this.
Again, you know, it's a winter theme, you know, and we've kept the whole theme of black and white and obviously the silver pots, but things like this just look amazing. It's very wintry, you know, it's the winter season, so it's sort of dead black twig, but full of glitter, you know, in a nice big collar there of winter hydrangeas, and it just looks fabulous in that gorgeous pot.
It does look amazing, and I noticed, and from a distance, the fact that you do just have the glitter on this really just makes it into something else and catches the light. Yeah. And can you use any other flowers here? Obviously, you've got the whites here. Can you use maybe stronger colours if winter brides are going for their reds, their purples?
Of course. You know, it's all really whatever the bride wanted, we would theme it to that. And if she wanted this style in a different colour, then of course we could do it.
And can you maybe scale it down a little bit if they wanted these as table centres rather than as pieces for outside?
I mean, these are quite large, but then, you know, we're at an event today, we want to create that wow factor, hence we've made these big things. But, you know, something like this at the entrance to a marquee, for example, outside, lit well, looks fabulous.
And I guess it would look amazing as well if you even had the black stand on it to go with, obviously, the black branches.
Yeah, it would, very much, yeah.
It'd be lovely. Well, that's Absolutely stunning. However, the pièce de résistance. Look at this. Now, I don't even know where to start. This is the most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen. It is amazing. So I'm going to start up here because this is where my eye gets drawn to straight away. Can you just talk me through everything that we have up here?
Okay, well, I mean, this is a canopy that we constructed. We actually made this canopy just out of bamboo and wicker, and on top of that, we then threaded through all the foliage and all these lovely little bits and pieces that you see hanging, the leaves, the little pearls, all the little bling. And then we hung loads of little lights in, so we create like a little canopy of lights. Now, obviously in here, you really don't get the effect because we're so brightly lit in here. But if you can imagine at night, you're sitting down and you're having dinner, you've got this canopy of little twinkling lights above your head. It's just magical.
And I love the fact you've used so many different textures. I mean, you've got, what are these right here?
Well, these are sort of like icicles, really, to give that really frosty, wintry effect. Almost like stalactites, you know, in caves?
Yes, exactly. And I love the fact you've got monochrome. So even though you've got a little dash of colour, it's all the blacks and the whites. And again, you've got these lovely beads to complement next to them. But I love the texture, especially as you can see on the foliage
all the
going around.
wintry foliage, yeah.
It's wonderful. Now, draw the eyes down. This is just amazing. I love the mirrored effect.
They're fabulous, aren't they? They're sort of quite Art Deco. The whole look is sort of quite Art Deco and very, very clean, minimalist lines, chic. Again, the monochrome look all to tie in, and it's just a very chic dining table. You know, you would enjoy sitting down and eating a nice meal at this and having a glass of champagne, I think, don't you think?
Absolutely, I would totally agree. And of course, with the blacks and the whites, for a bride that maybe wants to do something a little bit different than that's going for the black wedding dress, that's going for something different.
You know, the sort of classic Hollywood 1930s, 1940s theme, you know?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
And of course, I guess with the bride in the classic whites, again, it's a theme to suit all. Can you talk me through, obviously, what you've used here with the flowers themselves and what's decorating it?
Sure. Well, these, obviously, again, to go with the black and white theme, we've used the keto roses, which is a beautiful small white rose. Yes. And we've used those all the way through in the cubes, in all the different sizes. So you've got this lovely interspersement of sizes. And then we just put these they're just little black balls, really, just almost little baubles that you'd put on a...
I was just about to say they're almost like tiny balls.
That's really what they are, yeah.
And I love that because you have actually shown us 3 different ways to have a table centrepiece for a wedding. So obviously if you're a little bit more budget conscious, you can go for obviously the smaller one.
This doesn't cost a lot of money to put together, you know, because it is just the roses.
But it looks fantastic.
But it looks
That's
fabulous, and it's very chic.
Something I did notice that I think really adds something is when you look at the candles, the actual votives, the holders you've got them in, it's almost like crystallised sugar on the outside.
They're fabulous, aren't they? Yeah. We just got these today, actually. These are quite new in, but yeah, they give a really nice effect. Really nice.
And is there any other winter colours that you would say for all those brides-to-bes that's like, oh, go for those, go all out?
We've got a whole raft of winter weddings coming up, and most of them are the sort of traditional reds, deep reds and burnt oranges, and, you know, incorporating lots of fruit and spruce and that sort of thing. Very traditional, very warm, and it's gorgeous and it looks great. Yes. But for me, this is my favourite sort of look. It's just a little bit more different, you know.
It is, of course, and it's nice to have something that not everybody else has. Yeah. It's lovely to have something like this. Now, would you say for a winter wedding or maybe kind of Christmas weddings for people thinking about that, to have things like Christmas crackers on the table, would you say that's a nice quirky thing to do?
You know what? It's Christmas and people love Christmas crackers, don't they? I do.
I always like the toys and the jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I must admit, every single detail is absolutely beautiful, and I think the black and the whites, would you say that's one of the trends that will continue?
I think so. You know, I don't think it's ever going to go out of style, to be honest. It's certainly gained in the fashion stakes these past couple of years. More and more people have actually thought, actually, you know what? I've not thought about it maybe for myself, but it does look really good.
What are some of the weddings you've done, and what have the themes been that people have used?
Oh, all sorts, really. I mean, we've just had a really bumper wedding summer season. We did one in Wales for a very famous footballer and his lovely wife. That was in a gorgeous big castle, and that was quite a sort of traditional green and white theme. Okay. But we obviously added a few other bits as well. We actually lawned the entire front car park of the castle and lined that with huge Grecian urns, overflowing with delphiniums and hydrangeas. We had a good budget to work with, and it did look fabulous.
Well, that sounds absolutely amazing, and I have completely fallen in love with this, Brian. You're very, very talented. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's just about it for today's show. However, you may remember what I said to you at the end of the last show. I know I've got all the information I need to choose my wedding flowers. The only thing I need to think about is finding a man. Well, I managed to find my happy ending, so I wish you all the best for yours.